And now, we are excited to share a preview of this year's live auction pieces. There are a total of 10 works that will be sold at auction. We begin with Carrie Ballentine, Quiet Strength. Graphite has always been a favorite drawing medium, and the abstract quality of black and white is as appealing to Carrie today as it was when she first began drawing as a child. We all seem to have a fondness for pencil drawings. Perhaps it's because at some point, all of us have an early memory of drawing something which was most likely with a pencil on white paper. No matter how our level of ability has progressed, there remains an easy familiarity with this medium. It's approachable, welcoming, and easily understood. 22 years ago, Carrie entered the Prix de West as a pencil artist, with graphite and with colored pencil. She was told this was new to the show, but her work was well received and she was eventually honored with several awards over the years. Ballentine was recipient of the Donald Teague Award for the Best Work on Paper in 2014 and won last year's Express Ranch's Great American Cowboy Award. Carrie says, anyone familiar with my work knows that I use my family, friends, and neighbors as models for my human landscapes. Portrait drawings and paintings are my passion, and there has always been a particular look that has inspired me since I began drawing at a young age. Carrie goes on to say, we all desire solidity in this life. She says quiet strength is a composition of strength and balance.
Glenn Dean, Men and Monuments. Glenn Dean is exhibiting in his 6th Prix de West. A native of Southern California, he now calls the small town of Cambria home. Growing up in Southern California, Glenn was drawn to the area he now lives in for its wide open spaces, thanks to the large ranches, preserves, and state parks in the area. Dean enjoys spending time in these open spaces, painting and hiking his way through the West. He paints with a simplified realism approach and often finds himself exploring ways of painting the illusion of detail rather than the details themselves. Of Men and Monuments, Glenn said he wanted to make a strong silhouette with the riders in shadow, moving in front of the sunlit cliffs of Monument Valley. In my work, and in pieces like this one, I am interested to see how much I can say with very few elements. A man who lets the beauty do the talking, he loves this composition so much he intends to make it in a larger format as well, so stay tuned.
Tim Soliday, Prairie Soldier. Tim Soliday was born in Ottumwa, Iowa. He worked as an illustrator, a commercial artist, and in the motion picture industry. He feels fortunate to have found traditional teacher Theodore Lukens to study under while working in commercial art. In his late 20s, Soliday turned his attention to a career as a fine artist. He started his fine arts career as a plein air landscape painter. Most of his landscapes are Western in character and feeling. He always had an interest in the West, its history, and mythology. He now lives in Southern California and loves the beautiful scenes and climate. Tim tells the story. When I visited the Hubble trading post at the Four Corners, I was reminded of what the prairie around that area looked like. This also reminded me of the efforts needed to protect the lands today by the local Indian Police Department. It is a tribute to the bygone warrior of the past who tried to protect the land in their own way.
Kurt Walters, Lipan Vista in Smoke. Kurt Walters is in his 24th year of exhibition at the Prix de West and has nearly a dozen Prix de West medals, including the 2007 Purchase Award. His work has been honored by 3 different museums with retrospectives, including Tulsa's Gilcrease Museum. Kurt was agonized by the scenes from the Lipan Point as he saw smoke from California wildfires over 500 miles away fill the Grand Canyon. Kurt commented that these fires were not started by laser beams from outer space, but rather the result of a complex new reality for our western lands. How the smoke encased the vista compelled Kurt to paint the undefined, beautiful, delicate temples emerging in the smoke for a few remarkable minutes, he reflected. The sun began to glow bright orange on the horizon. I believe that in plein air painting, the artist finds the truth. This October, Prix de West Society members will get to visit Kurt in his Sedona studio and treat it to a viewing of his new documentary, Painting the Air.
Michael Dudash, Solitude. Born and raised in Minnesota, Michael Dudash settled in Vermont in 1977 to begin his full-time career as an artist and oil painter. Dudash currently works out of his home studio near Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where he lives with his wife, Valerie. Dudash says, "My narrative Western work focuses on the 19th century of the Old West, and I use these stories to illustrate universal themes that are timeless. My goal is not only to tell a story in a beautiful way, but to make the viewer feel something emotionally, to feel as if they can relate to the place, the characters, and the moment that is frozen in time." Dudash says, "I have a sketchbook where I at times noodle out ideas or create small thumbnail sketches. The painting that eventually became Solitude began this way." He says the trick when working this way is to take all the various elements and make them work together in regard to color, value, light and shadow, edges, and more. In this case, I made the foreground dark and in shadow, and the landscape dramatic by being bathed in light. The painting is finally finished by repainting some of the shapes in the foreground, making some changes to the Apache's clothing, and painting in the distant mountains.
Brent Cotton, Coming of the Dawn. Brent is an award-winning and nationally recognized artist living in the Bitterroot Valley of western Montana. The 2018 Prix de West Wilson Hurley Memorial Award winner for Best Landscape, Brent is now in his 10th year of exhibition at the Prix de West. Brent's tonalist, luminous style of the late 1800s creates mood-evoking pieces with a timeless quality. Brent is an avid outdoorsman with a passion for sport art, who is often found standing in one of the local rivers with a fly rod or drift boat oar in his hand. Coming of the Dawn was inspired by a frigid early April trip down the Smith River in west central Montana, where Brent and his buddies basked in the early morning sunshine. Memories of trips like these last a lifetime, commented Cotton, and so does the frostbite.
Joseph Bowler, The Yellow Slicker. Joe Bowler has been painting for more than 30 years. He is studied with such notables as Robert Lockheed and Richard Smith. He was commissioned by the late John Ritter and his brother Tom to paint a portrait of Tex Ritter, the famed actor, country singer, and songwriter. The painting included Ritter's horse White Flash and was unveiled in March 1994 at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum during the Western Heritage Awards. He won the inaugural Donald Teague Memorial Award for Works of Art on Paper at the 2013 Prix de West and the Express Ranch's Great American Cowboy Award for the Best Cowboy Subject Matter at the 2015 Prix de West. In 2018, Bowler won the Northwest Rendezvous President's Award for Sand Hill Cranes Rising. Joe says, "I used the close-up of just part of it, which is this year's show, as part of the modeling of the yellow slicker." He goes on to say, "I was raised on a cattle ranch in Montana and wore the yellow slicker when I was younger. I was out in the rain a lot with my father raising cattle, something I can relate to having lived the life, which has helped me in my Western career."
John Moyers, As Autumn Moves into Winter. John Moyers grew up around artists in New Mexico. The son of a well-known painter and illustrator, William Moyers, John had a great first role model. After a start in the animation studios of California, John decided to move to Okanagan Game Farm in Penticton, British Columbia to study animals and train in fine art. While there, he met his wife, Terry Kelly Moyers, and they have dedicated their careers to fine art. He has studied under master artists including Robert Lockheed, J. Noel Tucker, and Ramon Froman. In 2003, John won the Robert Lockheed Memorial Award at the Prix de West, and in 2012, he won the Express Ranch's Great American Cowboy Award for A Fish Out of Water. This is Moyers' 30th year exhibiting at the Prix de West.
Tom Browning, Evening Ride. Tom has been a part of the Prix de West for 16 years and was the 2009 Purchase Award winner. He has felt a close tie with the museum since 1971 when he made his first visit, and sees it as a great honor to be included in such a prestigious show as well as the museum's permanent collection. Tom says, "I didn't choose art as a career, it chose me." This is the answer Tom often gives whenever asked why he decided to become an artist. Browning began drawing horses, wildlife, and Indians at age 7. He never tires of finding exciting ways to express this subject matter with the colorful and fluid brushwork that distinguishes his place in the Western art market. In 2009, Tom won the coveted Prix de West Purchase Award for his painting, The Dawn of a New Day. Later that same year, he was elected into the esteemed Cowboy Artists of America. Today, he is best known for his oil paintings portraying horses and cattle drives filled with a convincing sense of light and dust. Tom says some of the great illustrators like Harold von Schmidt, Dean Cornwell, and even Charlie Russell often portrayed love on the trail, and the idea always appealed to him. Years ago, when I witnessed a romance in the making on a ranch up in Oregon, it inspired me to take the idea and create my own versions of the theme. Tom thought you might enjoy this little poem he wrote about this piece entitled Evening Ride. If you just happened on this pair, you'd swear that they'd just met. Her starry eyes, his awkward glance, make courting a sure bet. They talk about their future and ease each other's fears. But I can tell you sure enough, this pair's been hitched 10 years.
Kyle Polzin, In Their Footsteps. This South Texas grandson of carpenters is a multi-talented artist, and In Their Footsteps is a tremendous offering showing the depths of Kyle's talents. Growing up around horses in the Gulf Coast, Polzin's formal training began at Victoria College in Victoria, Texas. Renowned for his still life works, the object of Kyle's paintings are works of art themselves. For In Their Footsteps, Kyle made this pair of Kiowa-styled high-top female moccasins by hand, taking over 30 hours, and has generously included the moccasins with the painting in this year's auction. Kyle was the 2020 Prix de West Frederick Remington Painting Award winner, and for 2 consecutive years received the Don B. Huntley Spirit of the West Award, given in recognition of the most outstanding work in cowboy subject matter at the Autry Museum of American West Masters. Polzin was recently featured in an article in the June issue of the Western Art Collector magazine, written by Prix de West Committee Chairman Dan Karazi. The article tells the story of how Kyle will often handmake the objects that are the subjects of his paintings.